I think it's live. Hello, everyone. Nika here with episode 4. That's right. I binge watched all of the 4 episodes on Amazon Prime one night in Idaho, the college unalivings, so that you don't have to. And if you have not seen the first 3, please go watch them. I want you guys to watch these in order. Otherwise, it's not really going to make any sense. So, also, this couch is comfier than the rest. So, let's get to it because Hunter really opened his mouth in this episode. Like a lot. And I'm a big believer of the truth will always come out. Sometimes it's too late, yada, 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 but it will. And what I notice here, a recurring trend, is that these kids, well, they're not kids. Why do we call them kids? They're grown-ass people. They're literally like mid-20s now. They're grown-ass adults, right? Okay, these grown-ass adults, these frat boys and sorority girls, the more they continue to do these sort of interviews, the more questions we're going to have. And I'm sure they got paid. I don't know. Did they get paid? Let me know. By the way, these are my opinions, theories, conspiracies, whatever you want to call them, for entertainment purposes only. That's my disclaimer right before we get started. We have David Berryosha. I know you guys remember David Berryosha because he was all over the 4chan post. And you guys most definitely know Hunter Johnson because he was the one that is now being deemed a hero for rescuing the girls. He protected Dylan and Bethany, right? Now, let's go to the beginning of episode 4, right? By the way, a lot of you asked me or told me, this is weird, Nika. Like, why are you not showing us? I can't show you, babe. Like, I'll literally get the channel taken down, okay? We can't show you, like, Amazon Prime here. It'll be, like, a huge lawsuit. So David Berryosha says he left a King Road house complex at 4 in the morning, and he said that it was eerily quiet. He said normally you can see when people are leaving the party, like, trails of, like, remnants of people leaving the party. And he said it was silent, like, dead, silent, eerily quiet. What's also weird is that Hunter and Emily, who lived like just within walking distance, say that they too woke up in the middle of the night and Emily saw that Hunter was locking the door. She says, I've never locked that door in the entire time I've lived there. So my question to Hunter, first of all, is, not to be an ass, right? Like, but why do you look so sick? Like, Hunter looks like there's something wrong with him. And I've said this before, whenever you're going through something traumatic, if you're lying, cheating, stealing, it's gonna show in your physical appearance, okay? Whether people choose to believe that or not, it will show in your physical appearance. I'm not saying he is lying, cheating, or stealing, but does he know something he maybe needs to get out of his system? My question to Hunter is, why did you get up in the middle of the night to lock Emily's door, okay? A door she literally said in the interview she's never freaking locked a day in her life. So why did you feel that need? And he says, well, I felt that there was something pulling me towards doing that. Do you think it's your subconscious, maybe? Did you know maybe something was going to be taking place? Was something mentioned at the Sigma Chi party? Did something take place that made your body wake up in the middle of the night and say, oh shit, something might go down. Let me get my ass up and lock the door, right? Now, David Berryosha, I don't like him. I just don't. I just don't. But he's saying that he hustled up. I hustled up. Everything was so eerily quiet. I got home as quick as I could. And he also goes on to say that his intuition was telling him something was off before he even knew. And that is something that makes me go, your intuition? I mean, yeah, sure. We all have intuitions, right? But like, usually those things are because we know something, right? There's something in the back of our mind, something in our subconscious. So again, I want to know, is there something that maybe he picked up while he was allegedly driving people around? Because David B says, well, I was a sober boy that day. I was a sober boy. I was being sober so I could take people back to back, see whoever was drunk and drive them. I'm like, well, that sure is nice of you. It kind of sounds like what Eric Gower was doing. And because there has been so many rumors in this case regarding people being lookouts, you know, if you're driving around, picking people up from all over and they're drunk, you're hearing things. You're paying attention most likely to what's going on in the back seat of the people that you're dropping off, right? So is it possible that maybe David Berryosha picked up on something? Maybe he overheard something that was being mentioned, something that was gonna take place. You know, there was a lot of weird pictures that were posting that evening, a lot of sorority and frat boys posting pictures with knives. So what was going on that evening, it just magically got so eerily quiet? What is going on that night? Everybody's magically locking the doors and their intuition is telling them something is off. Is it because they overheard something? Is it because they knew something was going down? These are just questions that I have for them, right? Now, in episode 4, they mentioned that Dylan heard Kaylee and Maddie come home and chit-chat on the couch, and she was pretty much sleeping through it. Sorry, but like, again, another contradiction. Like, if you were hearing Kaylee and Maddie come home and chit-chat on the couch, then you're not sleeping through it. You're awake. You know what's going on. You're conscious of what's taking place. And at 4 a.m., DoorDash drops off an order for Xana, but everybody else was supposedly asleep, except for Xana, right? And at 4:12, at the same time, Dylan hears someone say, there's someone here, and it's okay. I'm coming to help you. So Emily mentioned that Bethany and Dylan were calling them. They had a feeling that something was wrong. And Emily, because she was just within walking distance, and Hunter, they walked on over, right? They walked on over, and they said that when they got there, Emily mentioned that Dylan and Bethany had their hands on their mouth and they looked frightened. I'm so scared. But why would they look frightened? Why would they look frightened if they had no idea what had happened? And allegedly, well, not allegedly, according to the legal documents, Dylan supposedly saw Xana passed out on the floor. So if she's just passed out, then why are you frightened? Why are you so afraid? And why are you so afraid 8 hours later? This whole time you've been fucking awake, FaceTiming with family members, both Bethany and Dylan. They were all on social media. They were all creating images, deleting files off their phones. And on top of that, they were FaceTiming with family members. So why is it that when Emily and Hunter get there, you look so frightened? You weren't frightened the last 8 hours. In my opinion, this is always going to bother me, okay? The 8-hour delay is always going to bother me, especially because there was so much activity. And because we were originally lied about the activity. They were frozen in shock. They're just girls. They're just victims. They were frozen in shock. You lied to us, Bill Thompson. You told us they were frozen in shock. You told us they didn't know what was going on. And come to find out, when all of that is released, what do we find out? That these two grown-ass women couldn't even pick up the phone, call 911. Instead, they called everybody and their mama. They called their mama. They called their daddy. And if you know anything about Dylan Morrison's daddy, If you know anything about Bethany Funk's mommy, well, they're, in my opinion, pretty powerful people with a lot of pull. So how are we not going to question that? People love to focus on Koberger. Well, allegedly, Koberger called his dad at 5:30 in the morning. Okay, but also the girls that were literally at the crime scene when the crime was taking place and they were awake were also calling their family. But we don't want to ask those questions, right? Okay, please, please. So then the girls say that they had to take the phone away from Dylan because she was just so hysterical. She was so hysterical. We had to take her phone away. Do you think we're stupid? Because we've all heard the 911 call. Well, what was released? Because there's some parts that were clipped out of that 911 call, in my opinion. And in that 911 call, they don't sound hysterical to me, right? What do we hear? Well, can I just pretty much tell you what happened, Dylan? And they're just passing the damn phone around. I don't hear anyone acting hysterical. I hear people passing the phone around, which to me comes across as not wanting to take accountability, right? Just passing the phone around and Dylan telling the officer, can I just pretty much like tell you what happened? Yes, Dylan, please tell us what happened. We really want to know. We really want to know. I also want to know, Dylan and Bethany, what were you telling your mommy and your daddy when you called them in the early morning hours? So early. So early. And you FaceTime them? But if you were so scared that there was an intruder, would you be FaceTiming? I thought you were frozen in shock. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? Now, of course, in episode 4, they also talk about Brian being an incel. He's an incel, involuntarily celibate. I don't think he was an incel. We've seen a lot of women come forward that dated Brian. And one of the women said that Brian mentioned to her that she had like great birthing hips or something. I'm like, I mean, did you ask him, am I fat? Like, what type of woman, what type of person puts a man in that situation on a first date? Like, not to be mean, but this girl was a big girl, right? She's no skinny mini. No hate. I love all shapes and sizes. But like, what kind of woman asks that question on a first date? Do you think I'm fat? Do you think I'm fat? I mean, I'm honestly surprised that because a lot of people with autism spectrum on the spectrum are very blunt because we don't have a filter. We don't have a filter. We're direct. We're honest. Even if it hurts our feelings, we're honest. I'm surprised he didn't say, yeah, you are. You're according to the BMI chart, you are morbidly obese, ma'am. Right? Instead, such a gentleman, Mr. Koberger, if he actually said that, right? If he actually said that, because we don't have proof. Can you imagine if a morbidly obese female asks you, do you think I'm fat? That was so nice of him if he actually said that, to say, you have great birthing hips. Wow. And he's a gentleman. So yeah, they're talking about BK being an incel, but I'm like, wait. But you said that he's dated all these other girls. Men who are incels can't date women. They don't. They're like continuously rejected. Hence the word incel. Hence the word, it stands for what? Involuntarily celibate. Because no woman wants you, which is not, that's not Koberger whatsoever, right? And they're talking in this episode, like half of the episode, they're like, oh, maybe he was like trying to copy Elliot Rodger, Elliot Rodger. I made a video about him like 5 lives ago or so. Elliot Rodger was like the king of incels, okay? The king of incels. He unalived several sorority girls and then went on a pew pew rampage and then unalived himself in his vehicle, okay? A legit incel. They also mentioned how there were all of these rumors about Brian Koberger having issues at the university, right? But none of it was documented. And if it's not documented, it can't be verified. And that was actually mentioned by one of the journalists who's being interviewed in episode 4. So I'm proud that at least she had the decency to say, yeah, a lot of girls supposedly complained. A lot of teachers supposedly had issues with Brian, but none of it was documented, so we can't verify it. So therefore, we don't know if it's actually true or if it's actually bullshit, right? So interesting, but I am glad that the journalist here actually did the right thing, was actually honest, because let's be honest, a lot of journalists throw morals and ethics out the window, especially when they're on a freaking Amazon Prime docuseries, right? And the Chapins go on to mention at the very end of episode 4 that they didn't want anything to do with the media, that it would just bring them down. They just wanted to move forward, right? They're like, we don't need to see him in the eyes. We don't need to go to trial. We don't need to see him. Like, nothing that we do or that anybody does is going to bring Ethan back. And everybody grieves differently, so it is what it is. But yet, here they are, right? Every single Chapin family member, they don't want anything to do with the media, but here they are making all these Prime specials, right? So, did they get paid? Please let me know. I don't know. I have no idea. But if you really don't care, then why are you making these Prime specials? I don't know. Are they contradicting themselves? Is this just how some people grieve? I don't know. And we hear Hunter Chapin say throughout, like, you're not gonna use me for views. Like, the news channel, they just want to use me for views. And he's right. They do. The family members mentioned that they were constantly harassed by news media, people knocking on their door, people following them because they wanted to do interviews, this and that. And I cannot imagine being in that situation. Like, you literally just lost, allegedly, your family member.